Hello everyone, welcome to Crytex Tech. iPhone 14 Pro Max has been out for a while now, and I have been daily driving this phone for a month. This phone has a lot of controversy going for it because of the top notch. Sorry for the joke, guys. But the way Apple has implemented this cutout is just classic Apple, and they do know how to make the cons of the device into pros. So, let's find out if this phone is best phone to buy in 2022 or if you should look elsewhere. This is going to be a long video, guys. So get your popcorns ready and your drinks. And let's get this started, shall we? So starting with the design, this is just an old plain design, which is coming from the 11s and the 12s, with the boxy shape of the phone and the 3 camera layout at the back. And the bump actually has been elevated from the previous model, and this just rocks a lot on the table. But I usually use a case on my phone, and I recommend to use a case if you are investing this much money in your phone. So this comes with stainless steel sides and frosted glass at the back, which is ceramic shield and prone to cracks. But there are a lot of scratches happening on this phone, so you have to look out for it. And glass is glass, and it will definitely crack if you drop it. This also comes with IP68 water and dust resistance, which is up to 6 meters for 30 minutes. And it's good to have for a peace of mind. The earphone speaker has also flushed at the top, and my version does have the SIM card tray, as you can see. But the only problem I have with the hardware on this phone is the lightning cable, which is the worst thing to have because of the 2.0 transfer speeds and also the convenience of carrying another cable while you are traveling, as all other products are Type C. Keeping all of that aside, the phone actually feels extremely premium in your hand. The taptic engine of this has been the best on iPhone from many years now. Also, the speaker quality has been one of the best from any phone in the market. And it is only rivaled by the Asus Zenfone 6. I don't have it currently with me, but you can check other tests out there. I am currently daily driving this phone, so I did found few of the bugs, and other YouTubers have pointed some of those bugs as well. I didn't got the camera shake from the Snapchat and Instagram, but I saw some of the apps still not optimized for the notch, and it did cut into some of the content. But this issue has been solved on iOS 16.0.3, as you can see. There were also some random battery drains happening throughout the day. It might be because of the always on display on my phone or the haptic feedback that is on for the keyboard. But coming to the software side of things, most of the bugs that I found on this phone were due to iOS 16.0.2, and it was pretty hard recommending this phone over that update. The iOS 16.0.3 and the update did improve some of the things in this phone, and it's late better than never, right? The battery drain issues have been solved as well, and you won't find any drains throughout the day. And the new features in the iOS 16s are pretty great, but it's nothing exclusive to the iPhone 14. Seeing that the iPhone 14 just launched, it will be getting many more years of software update to come. And considering that standard iPhone 14 has the same chip as the previous one, we might see that the 13 get a year more of software update. But we'll have to see. The usual stuff like iMessages and FaceTime works pretty well on this phone. FaceTime might be a bit annoying some of the time, as you have to accept the call first and then again to join the FaceTime. This is a bit annoying. Keeping all of this aside, the experience on iOS 16 isn't anything new compared to my previous daily driver, the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Also, for some reason, all of the apps refresh after I'm using the camera. And you can see that right here. Let's start with the display on this phone. And this is a 6.7-inch display with a 120Hz refresh rate. This is actually LTPO 2.0 tech, which goes from 1 to 120Hz, which enables the always on display. And this also has HDR10 and Dolby Atmos support. But the always on display goes to 1 Hz when not active, which conserves battery. But as the wallpaper is always visible on this phone, the battery consumption is actually higher, and even with the background set to black consumes a lot of battery. This is one of the features that actually got me upgraded to the iPhone 14 Pro, and I will be keeping it on as this makes a welcome upgrade. And actually the most difference comes from the cutout, which is Apple calling the dynamic island, which is one of the gimmicks found on iPhone 14s. As at first I was really impressed how fluid and cool it looks. Even every app interacts different with this island. But after using it for a while, it has become a second nature for me. Just like the 120Hz which was announced in the 13s last year. You won't find any difference between the previous phone and this one. But if you switch to a previous one, you will find that apps don't usually interact the same with the older phones compared with the iPhone 14 Pro. The display also goes up to 2000 nits of brightness, which is insane, and you won't find any problems viewing this outside, especially if you have turned on auto brightness on the display and it is always bright enough. Connectivity on this phone has been a step up as well, as this is now using the Qualcomm's X65 modem, helping to improve the speed up, not only for 5G but for 4G as well. You can check the speed when the phone is using the millimeter wave 5G, and it gives me around 350 Mbps of speed. And upgrading this from the X60 modem that was previously found on the Galaxy S21 Ultra, this is a bit of a step up. The call quality on this phone has been great, and the person on the other end won't find any problems while you're on call. This also comes with Bluetooth 5.3 compared with the 5.0 in the previous model, and it's an alright upgrade. The Face ID is the same as found on the old ones. If you have always on display, this will unlock directly by swiping up from the bottom, which makes it a bit faster for unlocking the phone. But Apple should implement the under display fingerprint, and I really miss the old days from the Fi and Fi's where you had the Touch ID. Also, talking about the privacy, iPhone has been a closed system for years now, and it is really difficult jailbreaking iOS 15 as well. But you can see some ads in few of the Apple services like App Store and Apple News. You can also see some of the ads in stocks as well, which is a really bad thing considering you're paying such an high amount for this phone. And it is shown that Apple will be targeting more ads for future customers. Performance on this phone has been the best out there with the A16 Bionic chip with 6 GB of RAM. And the benchmark results are the highest compared to any other phones out there. So let's compare this with iPad Pro M1 and see how this stacks up against that. Even comparing the results to the M1 chip on this iPad Pro, you will see 20 to 25% increase in the Geekbench scores. Also checking out the 3D bench scores, this is a definite win for the M1 chip. But this is a totally different category as that is a desktop class processor and this is a mobile phone processor which is more efficient and it actually consumes less battery compared to my iPad Pro. Checking out the graphics, and this does translate to amazing performance day in and out. The phone just flies through the UI, and the A16 Bionic chip on this phone is more efficient. And due to the thermal cooling that is included in the new 14 and 14 Pros, it will sustain the performance long enough. But seeing that I was gaming on this, it took me just 10 minutes to dim down the display. Games on this phone runs at max settings, and I will be doing a dedicated gaming review for this phone. So please like and subscribe to get notified for that. Battery life on this phone has been a roller coaster for me, which actually lasted me a whole day with 6.5 hours to 7 hours of screen on time, which is actually fascinating. This is with the always on display turned on, and I usually ended the day with 30 to 35% left. But when I am at home and even without using the phone, it just sips through the battery, keeping always on at high brightness as the phone is always opposite to the sun. After the 16.0.3 update, the battery has been improved a bit. It might be due to the update or it might have adapted to my day-to-day chores. You can see on the screen that I have screen on time of 4 to 5 hours most of the days with 50% or more remaining at the end of it, which is great. The charging situation on this phone is actually bad. With a 20-watt adapter, it takes around an hour or 45 minutes to completely charge this from 0 to 100%. And the phone only supports 27.5 watts maximum input, which is pretty bad considering that the Android competitors out there are giving 150 watts of charging. The MagSafe on this phone is pretty amazing and convenient as it easily attaches to the phone and you don't have to worry about the cable tangling. But I usually use the wired charging more as it is more efficient. Sorry to keep you waiting this long for the cameras of this phone. And it has been upgraded from the iPhone 6s from 2013 12 megapixel camera. But this has been upgraded to the 48 megapixels, which is only available on the 14 Pro and the Pro Max. And I have a lot to talk about the photos and the videos coming out of this phone. So basically, this phone has quad camera setup, three at the back and one at the front. All the cameras are 12 megapixel. The rear camera is 48 megapixel. This also has a LiDAR sensor, and now the selfie cameras support autofocus. There are some new features found on the iPhone 14 Pros as well, like cinematic mode at 4K, action mode, and new photonic engines. I have taken plenty of photos with this camera and it is amazing. You can see it maintains the color throughout the shot, and you can see that the dark part and the overexposed part are pretty well exposed, and it does maintain the color throughout the shots. The skin tones are well exposed as well. You can see in some of the normal and portrait shots taken on this phone. The iPhone usually prefers brightening the face, which is sometimes great, but not always the case. You can see that the colors just pop out and it even exposes the sky well, maintaining all the details. This is just great if you're taking human portraits, as it's great to post online. And after some of the edits, you can get even better results. For non-human subjects, the photos turn out to be amazing as well. And in difficult lighting conditions, you can see the trend here where the subject is well exposed and Apple isn't afraid to overexpose sometimes. Or it might be a problem with the dynamic range on this phone. You can see the shots comparing with the ultra wide. Some of the characteristics are lost compared to the main lens, but the colors are maintained well between the photos. And the telephoto has been improved, but it does need some of the work. You can see the macro shots coming out of this as well, and they are amazing and detailed. Due to the low focusing distance of this phone, the phone usually switches from the main lens to the macro lens most of the time. With the telephoto lens, it does mess up the colors sometimes. As you can see, this was taken just seconds apart from each other, but both have different tones. The telephoto is great in natural light as well, as I took some portrait shots in this, and you can see the different focal lengths between them. And iPhone has been improving the cutout in its portrait mode. But the main feature in this phone is the RAW mode, which takes full 48 megapixel shots and it maintains the sharpness, which is similar to the DSLR photo. And it takes really great photos. And if you want to preserve the details from the Pro RAW shot, I have given a shortcut in the description below wherein you can lower the size of the image according to you, and it will also delete the previous photo. Coming to the night mode, This truly keeps the scene intact, and the blacks are untouched, which makes the scene more dramatic and the photos stand out a lot more. But zooming into the night mode is just an oil painting, and you shouldn't use the telephoto lens while at night. It's not all that bad, as you can see some portrait shots on 3x during night. Coming to the selfies, they look sharp as autofocus was added in the front camera, and the photos are good on this. Sometimes in the dark, it does fall off with the noise, but if you're taking the photos in the night mode, it will take out the grain from the photos and they will look good. Finally, talking about the video, it's great on this phone, and this is certainly the best phone to take videos. They are just amazing in all of the lighting conditions, and the ProRes just takes mind-blowing videos. But you can see that just for 50 minutes of videos, it takes 4.5 GB, which is crazy considering the transfer just take ages to go. The cinematic mode is just awesome, and you can see some of the clips taken from the camera. The cutout isn't perfect, but it's better than what others are offering. Checking that out in the comparison with the Samsung's portrait video. And I have actually shot the whole iPhone 12 Pro Max video on the new iPhone 14 Pro Max. And you should definitely check that out after watching this one and also somewhere around. Yep. Action mode has also been amazing on this phone and usually meant to take videos of fast running subjects, but I don't use it often as it's only capped at 2.8K resolution compared to 4K, but Samsung only offers that up to 1080p. Photographic styles in the photos are great as well, and I will be switching to rich contrast for the pixel look. So there are two new features introduced with the new iPhone 14s. One is the crash detection and second, emergency satellite connectivity. I can't test both of them. There are more videos out there on YouTube in where people have tested both of these features. Watching them, I have seen that it actually takes 8 to 10 seconds for the phone to recognize it, but it does work. Finally, coming to the conclusion, is the 14 Pro Max the best phone to buy in 2022? If money isn't an issue for you, and if you're heavily invested into the Apple's ecosystem, I mean, this is a no-brainer to buy. And you should definitely go for the iPhone 14 Pro Max over any of the other models, as this phone has all of the basics covered with great display, battery, cameras, software, and hardware, with only few problems, namely Lightning port, the software, and closed enough software experience compared with the Android counterpart, as there are different phones available for each budget in the Android market, which makes this one of the best phones to buy till date. If you're also looking into the Android options out there, there are plenty of them, namely the S22 Ultra and the newly launched Pixel 7 Pro. The S22 Ultra has some really great features over this phone. Also, the Pixel 7 Pro launched with a lower price tag compared with the iPhone, and I will be comparing both of them. Also, Apple's previous flagship, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, will be on sale right now, so it is a much better pickup than this one. But if you want the latest technology out there, you should get this, and it's a no-brainer to recommend. That's been it for this video, guys. Hope you liked it, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. See ya. Peace.